Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
It's my husband's birthday in a few weeks. I'm so excited to celebrate with him. He is the best thing that happened to me. Many say that if you find true love, you should keep it no matter what, and that's precisely what I'm doing. Ben and I met 5 years ago at a coffee shop. He was wearing a lovely jacket, and I complimented him. I actually just wanted to talk to him, and I hoped he would get the hint. We had a brief conversation. He offered to pay for my coffee and has been paying for it ever since. Haha. After being friends for a while, we dated for about 2.5 months, and then he proposed to me. It's been bliss ever since. It is Ben's 30th birthday, and I want it to be significant. I've been thinking of the best way to celebrate him, so one evening we went for dinner, and when we were driving back home, we saw a car. He exclaimed when he saw it. I could feel his excitement when he mentioned that it was his dream car. A light bulb turned on in my brain as I realized the perfect gift for my love. I was going to get Ben his dream car. The only issue I had was how I would get the car without him knowing. We did everything together, and most of our significant accounts were joint, so it's tough to hide anything from him. It would take strategic planning and a miracle for me to pull this surprise off. His birthday party wasn't a surprise. He knew we were going to have a celebration, but what he didn't know was his gift. I'm not really fond of his mom because she tries to do everything about her, and it's super annoying. However, I avoid having issues with my mother-in-law. Ben knew this, and he always teased me about it. I was going to get a luxury car, and all the checks and processes that come with picking the right one with a sweet deal. Purchasing the car would be an ordeal if I couldn't use our joint fund. I would have preferred to do this without his mom, but I didn't have many options, and I thought she would be of help since she had a luxury car herself. I called her to go to explain what I wanted to do and asked her to co-sign on the car with me. She, of course, said yes. For some reason, spending money always excited her. We developed a different car dealership and set the date to visit each of them. We picked many dealerships because we wanted to ensure that we got the best deal. It was my first time getting a car and being this involved in the process, so there was a lot that I didn't know, and I don't think mother-in-law knew either. We were asked for our credit scores. I got the document to show mine, but my mother-in-law was hesitant. I personally didn't think it was a problem. After all, she was supposed to be a millionaire. She had terrible credit, and the dealership would accept her as a co-signer. She borrowed money to foot her bills and pay for her expensive lifestyle. Before coming, I had thought that mother-in-law could even decide to foot the bill up front, and now I know that was a lofty dream. I was shocked to find out my mother-in-law credit was terrible beyond words. She was in a lot of debt just because she wanted to look rich. It must be hard to live life like an average person. It was none of my business, so I behaved like nothing happened. Of course, I was embarrassed, so she tried to be nice to me. I know she didn't want me to tell anyone. She didn't say it directly, but insinuated it in a way. I had to find somebody else to co-sign for the car with me, and the deal through. When I test drove the car just before we signed a deal, it made me so excited for Ben. I couldn't wait to show him. The color of the car was white, his favorite color. I wished his birthday was the next day because it would take a lot to hide my excitement from him. Preparations for Ben's birthday were coming together smoothly. I sent the invites to our closest friends because there was going to be a garden party at our house, after which we were going to present our gifts to him. I was going to give him his car in the presence of his loved ones. Thinking about it already made me so excited. The Friday before his birthday, we were at my mother-in-law's and she spilled the beans. She told him about the car and how instrumental she made sure he got it. Meanwhile, she didn't do anything. He was shocked and couldn't contain the many emotions that he felt. He was all over mother-in-law, thanking her profusely. She didn't mention anything about me and the car. The most annoying part was that she made it seem like she was the one who got the car for him, and it was an idea, so I was just some third party. She always did this to me. But I wasn't going to let it happen this time. It was my idea. I was the one who got the car, and she was no help at all, and instead embarrassed me because she was broke. I couldn't believe that she would still act this way, knowing that I was aware of her secret. Jealous that Ben was all over her saying thank you, I honestly feel robbed. This is why I didn't know when I said the truth out loud. I told everyone that it was my idea and that mother-in-law was broke because of poor financial discussions. She only looked rich on the outside. I admitted that I asked her to co-sign for me because I thought she should have the money or have a good enough credit score. That was a bomb that I dropped, and she was so embarrassed. I feel terrible, but I also think that she deserved it too. Maybe she would come down from her high horse. I didn't feel like hosting the birthday party anymore at that time. Mother-in-law asked me to leave her house. AITA? Ben yelled at me for the first time since we married because of his mom. He was always so calm, collected, and sweet to me, even when annoyed. This time, he lost his composure. I guess he was under a lot of pressure because he was put in between his mom and I. He yelled at me and hurt me a lot, but I tried to understand things from his perspective. His mom was having a hard time because we had family friends over at the house. Ben asked me why I couldn't have just let it go and behaved as if she did it. I feel like this one mistake shouldn't have made him angry or warranted the way he treated me. My husband would still come back to me. I knew that he didn't want to pick fights, so a few minutes after, he came back to apologize. That I was hurt and I was shocked that he responded in the way that he did. He apologized to me for yelling and said that he was under a lot of pressure from his mom and he just needed to vent, and he put it out on me instead of dealing with it. By this time, his birthday was in 2 days, so I asked him if I should cancel, and he said no, because you knew how much work and effort was put into planning. I hope there's a new scene on that day. Ben's birthday party was today. He loves his car. Seeing his reaction was the best part for me. His eyes lit up when he saw the car, and how excited he was made me forget all the troubles I went through to get it. Mother-in-law came for his birthday party, and I can understand why. Decided that I was going to apologize after my guests were gone. We had a fun time with family and friends. The party was over at around 9 p.m., so I drove to my mother-in-law's house with Ben. When we arrived, she hugged and was all lovey-dovey with him, but totally ignored me. Yikes, I guess I deserved that. Apologized to her, she didn't hear me, but when Ben came into the conversation, he helped us go through our differences. Set the day that I leaked her secret Ben-Hur, I'm trying to see what he could do to help. At least something good came out of it. YTA, you were out of line. You promised that you would keep mother-in-law secret, and then you didn't. It's not like she acted differently from how she had always acted towards you. NTA, she could have behaved herself, knowing she had a secret to hide. I hate it when people try to make everything about them. What is it with rich people trying to maintain their status and lifestyle at all costs to the point where they get deep in debt? If only they knew that nobody really cares.
Next story.
My mom died unexpectedly a few months ago. She named my sister, myself, and my 4 children, aged 21, 19, 12, and 7, as beneficiaries with her life insurance and left my nephew, age 2, out. We don't know why she didn't include him. We assume she hadn't got around to it, probably her untreated ADHD. My mom and I lived in the same state, and my sister doesn't. The chore of cleaning out my mom's rental and all of the hands-on work fell to me and my kids. Even the little ones pitched in for days. We had to pay rent for the month my mom died. She passed a few days into the month and hadn't paid rent. We paid for her cremation and to get rid of all her stuff. From the moment I realized that my nephew wasn't a named beneficiary on the life insurance, and my kids were, I offered to take half of whatever my kids were getting out of my own share and send for my nephew. My kids each were allotted 2.5% of the total claim, and we'll each get $5,400. My sister and I get 45% or $97,000. Initially, she told me not to worry about it, but she and I both just got our checks today, and she brought it up. Today, she asked me if I still intended to send my nephew money, and I told her sure. She wants my kids to pool their money and then divide the total 5 ways to split it equally. The problem is that my adult children never agreed to this, and legally I can't even touch my minor children's money. Our state will put it into a trust until they're 18. I can't touch it. I reminded my sister that I'd offered to send her $2,700 for my nephew, so if she pitches in the same amount, it's fair. All 5 kids get the same amount. She really made me feel guilty, pointing out how my nephew didn't get as much time with my mom and doesn't get all the birthdays and such my kids get with my mom. It breaks my heart, but I can't figure out how taking money from my kids makes this better. Between my mom's retirement account and the life insurance my sister and I each inherited, almost $300,000, so to me, cutting him in from our shares feels like it's fair. We can make sure each kid gets the same amount. To complicate things, my kids only have my parents, and my sister is in a much better place financially than we are. My kids don't have other grandparents to inherit from, celebrate them, or help them start out in life, and my nephew does. I don't want to lose my sister over this, and she really seems to think I'm being unfair. AITA? Well, she's threatening to sue me now. She didn't help pay for anything for cleaning out my mom's house or final expenses. She said that we could have my mom's car as we were doing all the work, and she didn't need it and could come and get it. Now she's going to sue over the cars too. I only had a phone call to prove she gave them to us. So this is going great. Now she's using our dead mom's Facebook account to spy on me and impersonating her to attack my friends and hurt me. NTA, you're including your nephew in good faith, even though he's not your responsibility, because you believe it's what your mom wanted. That's in the spirit of family and love. It's not a transaction, and your sister is wrong to look at your kids' plates to see if her son has as much as them. You're giving it out of your own share. Your kids shouldn't have to give up this final gift from their grandma because your sister wants things to be her version of fair. NTA, you're not obliged to give your nephew anything, and the fact that you're willing to go halvesies with her in making up for your mom's oversight is truly kind and decent. The fact that you're not willing to force your kids to make up for it is just good parenting. And why would she want all 5 kids to get less when she could pitch in her half for her son to see that none of the kids lose out? If you have 4 kids and are willing to do this for your nephew, she should be happy to do it for her only child. She owes you thanks.
Next story.
I, 20, female, have a twin brother who's decided I'm no longer allowed at family events. A little background. When we were kids, our parents got divorced and I moved away with our dad. He passed away when we were 17 and I moved back to live with my brother, mother, and stepfather. One day, I met my brother's girlfriend, also 17 at the time, of about 1.5 years. I didn't know anyone, so I started hanging out with his girlfriend. We became friends, and she admitted to me that she thought she was into girls. This eventually led to us hooking up behind my brother's back, and we eventually fell in love. This part I knew was wrong. The whole thing blew up one day, and we were caught, and my family and brother were devastated. Fast forward to now, and I've moved into a new place with my brother's ex, who is now my girlfriend. I spent the last 3 years mending my relationship with my brother, and everyone seemed to have forgiven us. But now that my brother has been seeing his new girlfriend for a while and started bringing her to family events, my girlfriend and I haven't been invited to any. When I confronted my brother about it, he told me it was because he doesn't want me to take another girl from him. My mother agreed with him, but my stepfather agrees with me and thinks they're being stupid. My girlfriend is just keeping her head down and hasn't really picked a side. I think this is ridiculous because I'm not going to cheat on my girlfriend and I just want things to go back to normal. So, AITA? I spoke to my brother, and he feels like he didn't 100% forgive me when he told me he did, and that it'll take more time. We've both decided that I'll give him space and take a step back from the family in general. Thank you all for your insight on the matter. It's really helped me a lot. After reading some comments, I want to clear some things up. Number one, my brother's a good person, and his relationship with his ex was really good. Their breakup obviously had nothing to do with how he acted. Number two, my parents got divorced when my brother and I were about 5 to 6, and my dad moved to another state to be around his family, which is just his parents since he's an only child, and he took me with him. Number three, my brother and I talked on the phone and through text a lot when I was with my father. We only saw each other at Christmas and our birthday for the most part. Number four, I knew I was into girls when I was 13, which my dad's parents didn't like and was the reason they sent me back to live with my brother and mother when my dad passed. Number five, I don't plan on breaking up with my girlfriend, but we both acknowledge that we're going to have to wait for my brother to be okay with us being together, even if that never happens. YTA, you can't give him a timeline of when to get over this. He hadn't met this girl for coffee once. He was dating her for a year and a half. For all you know, in his head, he had planned their wedding, children, and future together. Just because you want things to be better doesn't mean he is ready. How would you feel if the situation were reversed? Don't just blow it off. Really think about your answer. How would you feel? YTA, your brother probably thought it was ridiculous the first time and that there'd be no way his own twin would try to bang his girlfriend. And yet here we are, and you are shocked by Pikachu that your actions actually had some minor consequences. You cheated with your twin brother's girlfriend. There is no possibility of you not being the AH under these circumstances. That he even forgave you a small bit is a huge ask victory. Take it and be happy with it. You're an a-hole for even asking if you're an a-hole. Your brother is being generous in acknowledging you or your girlfriend exist, let alone inviting them to events. If they had broken up first, it would have been awkward, but your brother would be the a-hole if he didn't get over it in time. But that didn't happen from your post.